Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ian Mann, and I will be the chair of the panel today. Joining me via Zoom are Narinder Paul Danjil and Michelle Duncan. Here in the boardroom is the representative of the assessment department personnel, Matthew Shields, and our administrative personnel today, Jasminder Kumar. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in or affirmed. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence on an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard. The board will then deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1, 4, and 6 through 12 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor and applicant's testimony.
Yes, thank you. So, assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Shields.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can please sit. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Uchenobaka.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You can please sit.
Are there any preliminary matters with respect to number 1 on the list that we need to address? No. Okay. Thank you. Then would you please lead us through your report?
So this is file number 22-3983 for the roll year of 2023. Address 423 McMillan Avenue, business assessment ID 51762. The annual rental value is $104,520. Total premise area of 7,540 square feet for an overall ARV per square foot of $13.86. Below that, you can see the breakdown of how that annual rental value is calculated. And then following that is the rent comparables that I've used. The 4 rent comparables there average out to $16.45 as a reported rent per square foot. And then following that is a picture of the subject along with pictures of the comparables in order as they appear on the list there. The comparables, as you can see from the photos, are quite varied in type of business, as in this area of the city there is not a wealth of restaurant type businesses that are of this size. So I chose buildings or premises that were of the same size very close to the subject. I think all 4 of these are within a few blocks of the subject property. And I just wanted to note on the one comparable that I have listed here that has the picture that shows Anytime Fitness. This is actually the OV Club, which is on the 2nd floor. But the only way you can tell that's what it is from that door that is pictured on the far right. That actually, it's hard to see, but it does have an OV above the door. So that rent is for the 2nd floor of that. But the only way you can tell where that business is actually located is from the little sign above the door. And that is my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Vaca, do you have questions of the assessor, Mr. Shields?
Yes, I see the assessor, he, I got the picture of the, locations of the different, properties that, business property that, was mentioned, but this, some of these buildings are 2-story building, some of them are renewed, and, the thing is that there is some of these buildings have access to parking and parkade. Well, our property only's got the frontage and about room for about 10 parking spots. I see that for example, one of the areas he mentioned is I believe it's 5 Donald Street, and the assessed value is $14 million. So it's not comparable, and office space is a premium price depending, we're paying warehouse space.
Mr. Vaca, I'm just going to stop you for a minute. There's a couple of things here. First of all, this is your opportunity to ask questions. You will have an opportunity to give your presentation and then answer questions on your property. But this is your opportunity to ask questions of the assessor, not necessarily to give your presentation right now.
Right.
The second thing I'm going to caution you about, and I said it in my introduction, is that comparisons of assessed values are not something that we will consider. Right. Okay. So I'm sorry if you've got some questions, though. Please feel free to ask this.
Some of the questions is it's the area, most of these businesses on the Osborne in the Osborne district. In the Osborne district, there isn't many. Even throughout the city, it depends on the area. On the area it is. So how do you the annual rental value? You're looking at some people pay the actual value. Where how do you distinguish that? Between the annual rental value and the actual paid value to a landlord.
Well, annual rental value is not what any particular specific unit pays. Exactly, it's an overall calculation of what we believe that space would rent for in the open market, and not necessarily based on the exact amount that specific location pays, because any given specific space could have any sort of caveats or agreements or clauses in a specific rental agreement that is not necessarily prevailing to the entire market.
So the other question that I have here, this annual rental value, is it based on an area, or is it based citywide?
It would be based on similar properties in the area and with a number of factors such as age of the building, condition, location, size, all these things, and then we take the information that the property owners give us from income and expense mailers that we send out as to what they charge their tenants in rent, and we use that information to calculate ARVs for these similar properties in the area.
That's about it. That's okay. I might have one more. Mr. D'Angelo, do you have any questions?
Just as a clarification, so the actual values that you have for the premise as far as the heating, electrical, water, air condition, all those areas for the rates and the whole bit, that's the actual value, not model based, right?
Ours is the model based.
yours is about, so this is a model based.
Yes,
So all the values that you have currently listed for this property are all model based.
yes.
That's the only question I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
I have a couple of questions for clarification. First of all, you indicated that the comparable properties are all within a few blocks of the subject property at 423 McMillan
Yeah.
Street. Okay. The photos that you've taken, the first photo is of the subject property and it's a restaurant, I'm assuming bar because I see VLT on the side.
Yeah, I think it's listed as bar and grill.
And is the entire property that's depicted in your first picture, the subject property, the 423 McMillan?
I believe the whole squared off front building there, yes, is the entire property.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking at the second comparable now.
Yes,
That would be
$5,
5 Donald, and that's a main floor.
main floor, first floor tenant
Okay,
in an office building that's just right around the corner.
okay. And you spoke as well about Anytime Fitness, but that's not the comparable
It's
you've
the
used.
second
It's the second
floor of the
floor.
building, but you
Okay.
can't tell if you take a picture of the second floor, it's just windows. So that door on the far right is the door you go in to get up to the top. So that's why I included that photo, because right above the door, you can see it says very faintly OV. Hard to tell on the photo, but so that's like a nightclub bar that's on the second floor.
Okay, so the first two comps that you have provided are in fact eating, drinking establishments, hospitality.
The first one is not, it's an office.
Oh, okay,
It's an office space, but it's on the first floor.
I see, okay,
But from the outside of the building, you cannot tell which door you go into to get to it. So I picked side of the building because I did not have time to go and inspect it. There's like, I think there's entry points on all four sides of that office building, and they don't actually show the business's name on the outside, but it is a first floor tenant.
okay. Thank you. I have nothing further. Now, Mr. Vaca, it's time for your presentation, please, if you would
Oh,
be
yes,
so kind.
okay. So anyway, like what I, well, when I started is like, especially like, some of the property, like a 5 Donald, like the age of the building, it's new. And it's assessed at $14 million. Most of the other properties they're within the $1 million range, which is the same, close to the same assessment that it's at 423. The only other thing is there's like, for example, he mentioned like, Anytime Fitness. They're paying premium rent. The reason for it is it's on a prime thoroughfare, and there's a lot of like walk-in traffic, and they have like there's quite a few parking spaces, like off side streets that people can park without paying. There's no restriction on the parking. Like you might have like 2 hour parking time. Some of the area might have more than 2 hours, and for our location, we're on a main thoroughfare, McMillan, which is at the junction of Osborne and Pembina Highway, and during like traffic times in the day, like in the morning, so on and so forth, like we don't open until like 11 o'clock, but in the afternoon and so on and so forth, you can't really park on the street, so you're limited as to what you can do. That's one of the reasons like our rental is so low. The other reason is the rent is low is on the lease. Article 17, like the place can be demolished, or if it's expropriated, we got I believe 90 days. The landlord is giving us 90 days to terminate the contract, or so that's one of the reasons, like the rent is low, is we want to pay a fair market, like a fair price. But if you take a look at between let me go back here, 54,000 a year to 104,000, that's a 100% markup more than anything else. And that's one of the reasons, like we're appealing, is we want to pay a fair market, but not like 100% value on the actual rental of the property. Sorry, I misplaced one of my notes and I gotta go back to my email.
Take your time. We're here to ensure that your hearing proceeds.
I just had it and I just. So I'm not sure if you have my note letter.
We have one. Do you need the printout?
Yes, please.
If we can print it out, or if
I had it in here, but I lost it. The only thing I got is
okay, if we'll take a short recess while Mr. Kumar gets the letter from the note.
Thank you.
Well, perhaps Mr. Kumar, is there anything else, Mr. Vaca, that you need printed out, or so we don't?
No. Basically, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Then we'll take a short recess for that. Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. Mr. Vaca, you were going to make reference to a letter that you had forwarded with some notes to the board.
Yes, thank you very much for printing out the note. I'd like to bring to the point where on our lease, on the original lease agreement, like Article 17, expropriation and demolition. So if the property is being expropriated, or the lease shall cease and terminate in Article 17.1, or if 50% or more of the total square footage of the total rentable area of the building is expropriated by lawful expropriating authority, then landlord shall exercise in giving tenant notice 90 days to cancel and terminate the lease. That's one of the reasons, like our rental hasn't gone up since we actually took the original lease. Hasn't gone up much as to the other business, is because part of it is of this article that gives the landlord more power than anything else. And the other thing is like from the other businesses over here, like the average should like the people are paying, like, you know, as mainly for office space, they're paying in the area between 15 to 25 square foot. Based our premise, I think it's more than anything else, is based on a warehouse per square footage. That's why the rent is so low. It's about $7.20 a square foot, comparable to the other mentioned businesses addresses. They're paying between, like, you know, 15 to 25 square foot per the property. And one of the businesses that was mentioned, and I re-mention again, is Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness on the Osborne over there. I believe it's 108 Osborne. They have, like, you know, the frontage. They have a lot of walking traffic. And as I stated before, there's a lot of like, you know, parking area and like, you know, street parking that's more available, and that's a plus to pay the premium rate for rental. While in our case, the only thing that we have is like a 10 stalls. There is parking across the street, like there is a Dollarama, but it's kind of a private property. And basically that's one of the reasons. And it's like, it was hard to find, like, you know, comparable like, you know, properties even in the other parts of the city. It's like, it's hard to find something to the size of the building and also with the similar restrictions. And one of the reason also the cost is like, the COVID-19 hasn't helped out to to our business, including the whole area that actually have service industry. And those are the factors associated with rent being almost the same as 2015.
Thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Then-
Oh, I wanted to, on the map over here, the comparable properties that, the assessor has said, you can see like the traffic area comparable to us. I can submit this if you want to, or not necessarily.
I don't think it's necessary
Okay.
right now. Thank you, Mr.
I'm done with my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shields, do you have some questions?
I do, yes. Questions and I guess more comments on the lease. The lease that was submitted, I guess it does show the term on page 5 for section 3.2 that it starts May 1st, 2022. And technically for the purposes of this, that is post-reference evidence, because the market values are based on April 1st of 2021.
That is correct. He didn't make a lot of reference to the lease other than through the expropriation clause, so I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But yes, that's fair comment. The reference date that we look at is a snapshot in time as of April of 2021, what the lease would have been or what fair market value of the lease would have been then. Mr. Back.
Okay. I got the original. Sorry, I got the original copy of the 2015. With me with the. So you were saying, sorry, with which section?
I think it was page 5 of the agreement that was submitted. For section 3.2, I believe.
Thank you. Okay, this is the one that. Yes, it's September 2020. It's the same. Yeah, I agree.
I guess my confusion was just there's a couple points on the things you submitted of different dates. And I guess just to clarify exactly when those numbers were signed, because I think on the first page of that same document, it says that the top of the lease states on the very first page says January 2022. But then the first point, just underneath that, it shows October of 2020 is when the lease figures are actually agreed to. I think this was on the first page that was submitted. I think there was 2 separate lease agreements. Or sections of the lease agreements.
Are you referring to the renewal?
It could be. It was whatever the first page that was submitted, I believe.
Is it a two page?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so this, like the first one is a lease renewal agreement, and it stipulates that the term of the new shall begin for 5 years commencing to October 2020. Okay, and expiring 2025.
Right, but then doesn't at the top of the same page say January of 2022?
Yes, it does.
That was my confusion, because I guess if the document's from 2022, then was it signed and agreed to in 2022? Or is that just a typo on the date?
The only thing I can say is that there might be a typo mistake.
Okay, that was just for my own reference as to if it was actually like could be taken into consideration even for myself, because it was just the conflicting dates had me confused on which was the actual start for that part of the agreement. It was just, my question was just wanting clarification on when that agreement was actually starting. Was it for the January date or was it for the actual October 2020?
You know what? It's really that I cannot. I'm not too sure. I would say it'd be a typo, but then I'm looking at the one, and it says here October 2020 expiry 2025. Then I'm looking at here, it says me, on the written note, it says 2022 to April 2027. And the one. Yeah, it refers to the same one, even, let me see here. Please bear with me. Yeah, well, the original, I believe it should be, from what I can see, I'm not too sure because I see September 30th, 2020.
I just wanted clarification for what can be considered. I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to have something considered that was submitted as evidence. But for me, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing dates that were all over the place. I just wanted to know if you could confirm.
To be honest with you, I really can't answer that.
Okay.
I'm not too sure because I see on the written on the handwritten over here, it says 2022. So I'm not too sure what the this note is. And when this was given to me as I can't answer that.
Okay. I was just
I can get you the answer from the owner.
Well,
Simon.
It was just for the purposes of the hearing, because I knew that the second lease agreement was dated post-reference, and the first one that you presented there had a date that was post-reference and a date that was pre the reference period. So I was just wanting to know if you could confirm it so that if it was the 2022 date, which it very well might be, that could definitely be considered.
I really can't answer that.
Okay. And that was my only question, was just regarding the dates.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Duncan, have you any questions?
Yeah, so there's the two leases that the discussion just has been that you're not entirely sure which one happened before which one, and if the first one is void or not, or the dates. I'm just wondering, do you have any type of maybe financial statements or anything that could confirm what the actual rent is currently or during the reference period? Sorry.
Unfortunately, it wasn't given to me because I think the accountant couldn't get the information. Like I was trying to get the information. I can get it for you.
Well, it's just I'm just trying to find something tangible in order to be able to verify the rental rate during the reference period.
I believe what Simon does, he gives them 12 checks for predated checks for the year. That I know for a fact, but in regards to the financial statement, I didn't have access to it, so I can get
how much are those 12 post-dated checks each month?
They're all 4,500, and plus I believe he also pays the property tax portion.
And was that the same in the reference period?
Okay, sorry, are you referring to which reference period? The one from the lease agreement?
The only reference
renewal or the 2015 lease agreement?
No, the reference period for taxation.
It would be April of 2021.
Yes, I believe so. Yes. I believe the fiscal year of the company is October to September. I haven't been involved for about 10 years.
Okay, and then maybe not to belabor it, but you've presented two leases in your evidence. You're not sure which one is currently active. Is it the latter dated one or the one dated October 2020?
Well, the lease, like I was looking at the lease agreement, and the lease agreement over here says dated January 2022, which is signed. And there's a copy signed over here, but pertaining to the actual lease, there could have been a typo error on the date there.
Okay, with the other lease agreement that you've submitted in evidence dated March 28th, 2022, that's close to the January 2022 date. Would you say that's accurate?
Sorry, are you referring to the lease renewal agreement?
Yes, there's there's a lease and there's a lease renewal agreement.
Yeah,
lease
okay.
renewal
The latter
agreement-
one, the latter one is the one that was just was signed. The only thing is, like, you know, what the assessor was mentioning is in regards to the date on the paragraph 1. I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. D'Angelo.
Just as a clarification, as far as going back to Article 17 there, is the building designated for demolition, or is that just put in there for a reason?
Well, I think that there's a reason for it because of the area is being developed for rapid transit, as soon as rapid transit or expansion for the city. So that was, I think that's one of the reasons that the landlord put that in is to actually kind of protect himself, like, you know, if it gets expropriated, so on and so forth, like the tenants have, well, we're the main tenants to be removed, cease the lease.
So how can he sign a lease for the renewal lease if he's got a vision already that the city is looking at maybe buying him out, I'm presuming, or whatever, for demolition for the rapid transit? I don't really kind of follow why you would sign a renewal lease for that length of time, which you know or don't know, or?
I think the lease was signed, like the original lease, which was signed in 2015, and I believe that probably didn't like the lease wasn't removed, so like they left everything as is just in case. I guess the landlord has got to answer that question over there, and we signed the lease to continue the ongoing of the business.
So as
perhaps that should have been looked after.
So physically, the building itself is secured. It has no foundation structural problems, so that that they would have to demolish it.
I believe, like this building over here, it was there was an addition done on the I think it was on the west side to the back lane. There was an additional, like, you know, I think it was maybe added like, you know, 50% more.
Okay.
And the building, like you know, the flooring sometimes it, I guess, warps or whatever you call it, and I think that's one of the reasons, like, you know, that clause was left in by the landlord. I can't really answer for the landlord.
Those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
Yeah, I have some questions, Mr. Vaca. Have you been involved with this property since 2015?
Well, originally, yes. Like I helped Simon, well, the owner, in regards to taking over the business, and also the sale when he actually purchased the business.
Okay, so Simon, and I was going to get to that too, but let's get to now. Simon is the owner of this.
Yes.
Okay. So Simon is both the owner and the landlord?
No. The landlord is a Composite Holding. Simon is the major shareholder of the Manitoba Limited Company that's listed here.
Okay. And what relationship is Simon to Composite Holdings?
He's a tenant.
Okay, he doesn't.
He's the manager owner of Manitoba Limited, which operates Sonics.
Okay. He doesn't have an ownership interest in the property.
No.
Okay. You said the property opens at 11 in the morning. How late is it open at night?
2 o'clock, I think it is. 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay, and there's VLTs there.
Yes.
And how many VLTs?
I think there was 6.
Simon purchased the business in 2015 and you helped him purchase the business?
Yes.
Okay, and from whom do you remember who the vendor was? Who did you buy it
I
from?
don't remember. I think it also was a numbered company or a named company.
And as part of this, you don't know if the city has been provided with an income and expense mailer every year as is required?
I believe, yes.
Do you prepare that?
I believe he does, but I can't really answer that.
Okay,
I'm sure his accountant must be providing that.
okay, when you say he, are you talking about Simon?
Simon, yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Simon Lane.
I'm just trying to get all of this straight and clarified as well. You did not enter into these leases. Someone has just given you these leases
Right,
to come
that's
to
correct.
the hearing today.
Yes,
Okay. And you don't have anything to do with giving the checks?
no.
Okay. Then I have nothing further. Thank you very much. Is there a need for a summary, Mr. Shields or Mr. Vaco? Would you like to summarize?
I'm good.
Okay.
Oh, I like to summarize the reason for the appeal is the 50% increase. Like you want to look at a fair value, but not like, 100% increase on the rental, on the actual average rental, and that's like every dollar that it's saved, it goes back into the employees and so on and so employees and other operational aspects. So it's kind of it's kind of tight, and especially the last 3 years. And that's one of the reasons that we're here. I'm here to appeal on his behalf is to make sure that some of the loss that has been, it's kind of recovered. We understand the city needs to operate on a business tax, so on and so forth, but be fair.
Thank you. That concludes this matter. Yeah, we'll deliberate and you will be receiving our decision by registered mail.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Maybe take a minute, let you collect your presentation, and then we will continue on.
Gotta make sure that I give him back what Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And I see Mr. Reimer is now here. We can move to item number 4. Oh, he's on mute.
No, I have to say.
Oh, you have to
Say.
write it, Slarman, yes.
Mr. Reimer, please state your full name.
Terry Rolf Reimer.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to number 4 on the docket, that being 15 Reenders Drive.
Thank you. This is file number 22-4131 for the roll year of 2023, address 15 Reenders Drive, business assessment ID 1933, total annual rental value of $138,120, the total premise area of 3,260, and an overall ARV per square foot of $42.37. Below that, you can see how that value is calculated, and I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment. The reduced assessment that I recommend is $118,980. And that is based off of a base rent of $34 per square foot plus occupancy costs, which would equal, after rounding, the $118,980.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Were you aware of the recommendation? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I am in agreement. I was aware and I'm in agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. D'Angelo, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. Conclude this matter and move on to number 6 now. We're going to number 6 on the list, please. 680 Nairn.
So this is file number 22-4310 for the roll year of 2023. Address 680 Nairn Avenue, business assessment ID 38832. Total annual rental value of $154,440. Total premise area of 3,662 square feet, for an overall ARV per square foot of $42.17. Below that, you can see how that value is calculated, and I have a recommendation to reduce the assessment. That recommendation is $133,680, which is based off of $34 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding comes to the $133,680.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. D'Angelo?
No questions. Thank you.
And I have no questions, so we will conclude that matter and move on to number 7 on the docket, please. That's 1460 Henderson Highway. I believe.
Yep. I have mine out of order. Okay, so this is file number 22-4301 for the roll year of 2023. Address 1460 Henderson Highway. Business assessment ID 1773. Total annual rental value of $160,320. Total premise area of 3,859, and an overall ARV per square foot of $41.54. Below that, you can see how that value is calculated, and I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment. That recommendation is $140,880 based on $34 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding would come to the figure of $140,880.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Mr. D'Angelo, questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
And Ms. Duncan, questions?
Nope. No questions, thank you.
And we will conclude that matter and move on to number 8 on the list. That is 375 Osborne Street. Mr. Shields.
So this is file number 22-4314 for the roll year of 2023. Address 375 Osborne Street. Business assessment ID 30003. For a total annual rental value of $117,480. Total premise area of 2,989 square feet, and an overall ARV per square foot of $39.30. Below that, you can see how that value is calculated, and I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment. That recommendation is $109,080. So 109,080, and that is based off of $34 per square foot plus occupancy costs, which after rounding would equal the $109,080.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Ms. Duncan, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Dangle?
No question, thank you.
And I have no questions. We will conclude this matter and move on to number 9 on the list, and that is 2027 Pembina Highway.
So this is file number 22-4316, roll year of 2023, address 2027 Pembina Highway, business assessment ID 28131. Total annual rental value of 140,760. Total premise area of 3,250 for an overall ARV per square foot of $43.31. Below that, you can see how that value is calculated. And I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment to 118,620. And that is based off of $34 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding equals the 118,620.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Mr. Dangle, any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Ms. Duncan, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Then we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the list, which should be number 10-3045 Pembina Highway.
Right, so this is file number 22-4317 for the roll year of 2023, address 3045 Pembina Highway, business assessment ID 1290. And an overall annual rental value of 311,520. Total premise area of 12,249 square feet. For an overall ARV per square foot of $25.43. Below that, you can see how that is calculated over 4 premises. I have a recommendation to reduce the assessment. So that recommendation is 261,780.
Sorry, that number again, 261780.
Yes,
Thank you.
and for the breakdown across the premises, so for the first premise listed there, 1603, that would be applying $34 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding would make the annual rental value of that premise 192,540.
Okay,
And then the following premise underneath that, which is 28148, that would be applying a rate of $4 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding would come to $22,080. So 22080.
thank you.
And then there's one more. Yeah, on the following premise of 28149, that would be applying a rate of $14 per square foot plus the occupancy costs, which after rounding comes to a final ARV of 29,160. And then the last premise, there would be no changes. So it would stay at the total value of 18,000.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement with the total ARV of 261,780. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Dangle?
No questions, thank you.
Then we will conclude this matter and move on to number 11, and that is 1131 St. Mary's Road, I believe.
Yes.
Mr. Shields?
This is file number 22-4528 for the roll year of 2023, address 1131 St. Mary's Road for the business assessment ID 6271. Total annual rental value of $113,100. Total premise area of 5,535 square feet. An overall ARV per square foot of $20.43. Below that, you can see how that is calculated. And then I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessed value. That recommendation is $107,880. So that would be providing rents of $17 per square foot to both premises. And then adding the occupancy costs. So the first premise listed, that would be $81,540 after rounding. And then the second premise would be $26,340 after rounding.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer.
We're in agreement.
Mr. D'Angelo, questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Then we will conclude this matter and move on to number 12 on the docket. That's 144 St. Anne's Road.
So this is file number 22-4133 for the roll year of 2023, address 144 St. Anne's Road, business assessment ID 5917, total annual rental value of $81,720, total premise area of 2,189 for an overall ARV per square foot of $37.33. Below that, you can see how that ARV is calculated, and I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment to $79,920 after rounding, which is based off of $34 per square foot plus the occupancy cost.
Mr. Reimer.
We're in agreement.
Ms. Duncan, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. D'Angelo, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
I believe that is the last matter on the docket today, and as this hearing is, and we will conclude the hearing.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentations and your cooperation today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.